Does sideboarding affect this matchup at all?
So I was just thinking the same thing. Ding has Arashis in his sideboard. He has Cranial Extraction in the sideboard, which is definitely a card that Karsten was thinking about. He's certainly concerned about it. Karsten has 1 defense grid. Karsten has an interesting sideboard. He has 4 defense grids and then 11 one-ofs. So he transforms into a much more traditional Gifts Ungiven deck. And he said that a lot of his sideboard decisions were going to be based on what happened to him in Game 2.
Sure.
So
does he see naturalizes from his opponent? Oh, okay. Well, then maybe he takes out his greater goods.
Also, if he gets Cranial Extracted, he said that was going to really affect how he made his sideboard decisions. Because
sure, one way to fight against Cranial Extraction is just change the cards that are important to your deck.
And also, Leung would know what his sideboard strategy was.
Sure.
And at that point, he would have to adjust for it.
That makes sense.
See Marcio walking out and taking a seat in the audience. See what could have been here.
Well, it looks like Frank's going to attack with those dragons. Yosei and Kokushu. Kokushu? Kokushu?
The Evening Star?
You just call him the Evening Star. No, false alarm. Psych. Pull him out. Kega really seems like it messes up the math here. I mean, Frank kind of wants his dragons to die, but he doesn't want to get the other one stolen.
It didn't seem possible that this game could get much slower, but Kega has accomplished that.
I want to know who suddenly replaced Frank Karsten with Dave Humphreys. Frank not notorious for slow play, but
he's a pretty deliberate player, and he's very, very thoughtful.
You don't see him picking up draws, though. When he's sort of able to play to the clock.
Right, but, if you give a thoughtful player time to think through all his options, he's certainly going to do that. Part of playing in the Swiss rounds is making your decisions in this very fixed amount of time, and so Frank plays to those limitations. But given an opportunity and the magnitude of the decisions in the top 8, he's certainly going to do a lot more thinking. Harun Rami definitely says that Karsten is slow. He just dispatched a messenger to the booth to let us know that Frank Karsten is indeed notoriously slow.
I'm too used to playing with guys from the Boston area. He's not that slow. Not in the Swiss, anyway. Has been here.
You're also used to playing with Scott Johns.
True. That's a good point. So Karsten passed the turn. Ding had made 1 token with Moloku. Doesn't want to pick up all his lands, I guess. What's his play? How does he win this game? I mean, how does he actually take this position and turn it into a winning position, do you think?
Well, he just played
Moaning Wells.
So he just wastelanded.
Which is pretty smart. Frank seems like the one who's desperate for cards. You probably would dig there. And for his next trick, Ding plays a Wood Elf.
He goes and gets the land he just destroyed.
Well, you can't get a Moaning Well.
Well, he can get a Moloku token, though. It seems to me that in the end, Leung can just pick up enough lands, attack with some tokens, pass and sneak in some damage each turn. That seems to play, and just leave Kega back as a stop sign. I mean, he's going to have to pick it up, though. Sooner or later, the top is going to dig Karsten into a greater good or some kind of card where
I agree.
He's going to be able to get his, he's going to be able to start, get that engine rumbling into life. I agree. So, I mean, I think he has to really be aware that once that happens, once Frank's deck does that, he's not going to be able to deal with just this parade of dragons. But he has Jitte.
By the way, the ominous sign here, look at the red stripes. Head Judge Sheldon Menery is now paying particular attention to this match. They're not supposed to be in game one an hour into the match. It's
Is that a cattle prod he's holding?
It might be.
So we've got a Jitte going onto a Moloku token. Yep. The Moloku token has picked up the Jitte, and will it travel? Will we get an attack step? The match we're holding, they're going to forget how they sideboarded. How many matches? We only have these 2 matches still going on.
Right.
We've got Akira Asahara through to the semifinals in a remarkable upset by his own description, and Katsumori making the most of his first trip into the top 8.
Yeah, the designer over the player there.
Designer over the player.
Had a better sideboard plan though. Designed it himself.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Although I don't believe Seaboard Muse came into play in any of the matches we watched.
I didn't see game 3, but
Stop again. Yeah. Take.
Karsten digging, topping.
I saw a little glimmer of green there. Could that be?
So Ding did indeed serve with a token wearing a Jitte. The token got killed, of course, but the Jitte's got counters. Right?
Yes. There are two tokens on the Jitte. There is no Moloku token on the board. Nope. Pass the turn. So Ding's got the cards that Frank would like to be getting here. He's getting a look at a lot of extra cards with his top. He just drew another Wood Elf, it looks like. Although he didn't peek before he Wood Elf. Didn't use his top.
Had he already used it the turn before?
But he drew
He drew and then didn't top?
He drew and didn't top.
That seems like a mistake. It's a pretty small one, but
But those are the mistakes Frank's looking to capitalize on.
Mm-hmm. It's a good point.
He talked a lot about the subtleties of using a top. Felt that those are the kind of things that would give him an advantage in the matchup.
Jitte land? Is that what that was?
Yeah, it looked like Jitte land.
Chaos of 99 is asking the boards about the foil Angels, Deeds, and Mancers he's seen. Have you gotten a chance to see the new Judge promos?
I saw the foil Exalted Angel. I haven't seen the other ones. The foil Exalted Angel is fantastic.
Yeah, it looks really sharp.
It's got a beautiful piece of art by Rob Alexander, who doesn't really often get to draw characters. He tends to do lands a lot, but he did a beautiful photorealistic, if you can use that term to describe an angel, photorealistic angel. It's really stunning.
Yep, those were distributed to judges here at the World Championships.
What were the other judge photos? I haven't had a chance to see them.
That's the only one I actually saw myself. I'm not sure the exact list. I'm sure we could get some more information on that.
Which ones was he asking about again?
Chaos of 99 says there's a Deed and a Mancer. Would be the Mancer. A Mancer or something.
Grim Lava Mancer?
Oh, potentially. Meanwhile, Ding Liang has equipped his Jitte to a Wood Elf, sent it into the red zone along with Kega. Looks like Frank's going to block the Wood Elf. Wood Elf down, but now the Jitte is up to 4 counters.
Karsten falls to 16.
Would you be more aggressive with the Moloku tokens if you were Ding Liang here?
Like I said, I think I would be much more aggressive with them. I'd be just trying. I mean, it's not like you're really losing anything. You're going to be able to replay your lands.
Mm-hmm. Well, you only want a turn.
Right. But I think the long game is going to favor Karsten.
Okay. I agree with that.
So I think you need to shorten the game as much as possible.
Definitely a green card Carson was topping for. Is it a greater good?
Yeah, he was very quick with it. I wasn't able to see these.
Yeah, I
There's
saw
also,
the bottom of the frame.
I also see, I think, a Goryo's Vengeance or a Footsteps in his hand.
Yeah,
Goryo's Vengeance, right. So, I mean, he currently can tap...
if he gets in, if he just gets 5 damage in, Goryo's Vengeance is lethal, right?
Right.
And now he is flipping the top. And picking up 4 mana? Has he finally found the greater good he's been waiting for?
Sure sounds like it.
Boom. Greater good. Sacrifice a creature, draw cards equal to that creature's power, and then discard 3. So if it's a big enough creature, it's massive card advantage. And if that creature has a Leaves Play ability, wow, super powerful engine card. And that's the engine Frank Carson has built this deck around. We are about to see it in action.
I believe we're in the end game here. Frank is also holding Goryo's Vengeance.
He's holding, so he just sacks Kakusho. No, it's not quite. He just needs 5 more damage, right?
Right. But if he has any kind of splice card,
does he win this turn, do you think?
I don't think he's going to win this turn, but he can tap
he can
tap all of Ding's permanents
with Yosei, and then
with 2 Yoseis, actually also with the Vengeance, and keep him tapped down for 2 turns.
It's also interesting to see how many Moloku tokens Ding makes. If Frank were to sack Yosei here, Ding's got to
float mana in response to Yosei's ability.
I think that's right.
Frank's trying to decide if he wants to sacrifice the Yosei or the Kakushu here.
I think he's like Yosei. I think you need to see how Leong's going to respond. Like, ideally, if there's no blockers, you can just attack with a Kakusho. If he gets in 5 damage, Goryo's Vengeance is the other one for the last 10. I mean, I don't think he's going to be able to get in an attack here. Ding should float mana and then make Moloku tokens to keep himself alive.
But you would give your opponent an opportunity to make a mistake?
Absolutely. I would give my opponent the opportunity to make that mistake.
Sacrifice it. Tapping.
Frank is indeed going to sacrifice it. He has to choose the targets. When that ability goes on the stack, he's got to choose the targets. What is he going to tap down?
Well, I would tap down. You get to tap down 5? I would not tap down the Wood Elf.
No, Wood Elf is worse than the land.
I would tap down the 4 lands.
4 land in Moloku, right?
In Moloku. Although with the Jitte in play, he's not going to be able to get in for 5, no matter what happens.
Oh, there's life gaining available.
There's life gaining available. There's also make your Kakusho smaller so that it's not getting in for 5. But the Wood Elf certainly seems irrelevant.
5.
And that's what he ends up doing. He ends up tapping Moloku in 4 lands.
Did you say you wanted to respond? I did, yeah. Response. The second that is a BTS step. You can't respond once he's chosen what he's going to tap. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can, Sheldon.
Yeah.
He has to choose the targets when it goes onto the stack. Frank Karsten correcting Judge Sheldon Menery there. That was amusing.
I would probably default to Frank in that argument, generally. Frank knows his rules pretty well.
It's the kind of thing Magic Online teaches you too, right? When do you choose these targets, and then when does it resolve? That stuff's much more clear in the players' minds thanks to Magic Online.
So Ding is trying to decide what his responses are here. And he's obviously going to float some mana. Oh, he untaps Kega with his Abora.
Sure.
And floats a couple lands.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So I draw on 5 cards. Yep.
And Carson gets to draw 5 cards. Oh, by the way, Carson gets to draw 5.
He does have to discard 3 of them, Randy.
Okay.
It's hard for me to imagine Ding being able to.
No,
Come
this
back
has got to
at
be
this
Carson's
point.
game at this point, right? I think it's just a matter of making sure that he wins, not leaving an opening. He's got 16 life to play with, too. It's not like Leon can come out of nowhere with a bunch of direct damage.
Well, he also has a whole turn when Ding is tapped down under the under the Yosei, and it looks like Frank drew another Yosei among his cards.
Floating, right? Yep. Okay. I will fast forward.
It's kind of interesting. A lot of players will say, "I declare my attack step there."
So that is
You never actually declare your attack step.
Correct.
Frank just passes priority. Which is technically how the game works. Frank counts his library to make sure he's not going to deck himself here.
Bottle Nova's Tech asks a good question in the forums. During the lunch break, are you going to be showing old match coverage?
Oh boy, are we.
Yes, indeed we are. I will unveil my list. What we have on queue for the lunch break is Pro Tour DC semifinals, where Hall of Famer Darwin Castle took on Hall of Famer John Finkel.
That's where Darwin got his one Pro Tour win.
Right,
That
Castle's,
tournament.
and I saw one of the interviews with you. Castle points to that match as his favorite moment of the entire Pro Tour. Beating John Finkel, helping his teammates win that Pro Tour.
He said he felt like during a lot of his career he was sort of following in John's footsteps, and to get past John to win his first Pro Tour made that match very important to him.
We also have another battle between Hall of Famers, Alan Comer and Tommy Hovey from, I believe it's the semifinals of Pro Tour Los Angeles 2, the LA that Hovey won.
That's the one where Comer jokes if he'd won that he would have won the Pro Tour.
Yeah, he says he lost in the finals a couple of times, but that was the closest he came to winning the Pro Tour because Hovey's opponent wound up getting disqualified during that final. So if only Alan had been there to receive the gift. Also, we have Ula Rade playing Sean Fleischman in the finals of Pro Tour Columbus.
Winning his Pro Tour in his first ever professional event.
And that's a film that is worthy of some historical study.
It's another Zapruder film for us here.
Absolutely. Over the years, the event coverage that emerged from Columbus, the sideboard coverage listed Ule Rade's Spider deck as a 62-card deck.
And he also had
6 baubles, and it was like, what is this kid doing? This kid's terrible. He's got Urza's baubles and 62 cards. And we were talking to Uli about it this week, and he's like, why would I ever play more than 60 with baubles? It just doesn't make any sense.
It's funny because he has a couple of lists over the course of his career that have him listed as playing more than 60 cards. And it looks like he's been the victim of some sloppy data entry.
Yeah, it may be that he was right all along, and it was just the sideboard reporters at the time who got the deck list wrong, and Ule's reputation must be vindicated.
So we can watch the match. He does pile shuffle in the matches, so we can watch the match,
Count the cards.
and count the cards and determine whether or not he actually played 60 cards, or if he's just trying to save face in retrospect.
Yep. Meanwhile, Frank Karsten, got a turn of Yosei locked down, passed the turn, untapped. Now he is serving with Kokusho.
He just putrefied a Moloku token to get Kokusho
Putrefied the
through,
token, sure.
and that should be the game. He's got the Garo's Vengeance. Doesn't even need it. As long as at 5, he just
Well, there's
sacrifices.
Jitte counters.
Oh, he's got the Jitte.
You can gain life off the Jitte. Yeah, so Rade Fleischman is on tap. We also have a highlight reel of various other highlights from the Pro Tour, from the Hall of Famers' careers.
Is that the highlight reel that's been running through here?
Yeah, it's been running in the booth. It's been running in the event hall all week so far, but now you guys at home will get the chance to see it. And there's also the interviews that you did with each of the Hall of Famers. I thought those interviews turned out really well.
Oh, thanks. It was a lot of fun. It was a great opportunity. I've watched a lot of these players play over the years, and it was just so nice to see those guys get honored. see them get the respect they deserve for their accomplishments and have a chance to talk to them about it. I had a really nice time at that ceremony.
So that's lunch. But lunch isn't even the highlight in my mind.
Lunch is just the appetizer?
I think so. Looks like Karsten is going to sack that Kokusho to his greater good. Leong is going to be forced to gain some life. His response with the Jite. Frank has been counting his library, making sure that he isn't going to deck himself here accidentally. Leong goes up to 7, and then he's going to fall to 2.
I have to draw from very good.
So we have the overhead camera on the Kaji Combra table, which is waiting for us to start. And I think I've actually seen Combra's arm hair grow while we've been waiting for this game to end.
He is nervous, too. You can see his arms are shaking. He's sort of impatient. Karsten draws from Kokusho being sacrificed to greater good. And... oh, he's got Vengeance with Splice. That should do it, right?
That should be 10. He's able to do 2...
Splices Vengeance onto... what did he splice it onto?
Onto Kadama's Reach.
Onto Kadama's Reach. That brings out 1 Kokoshu, and now he'll just hard cast a second Vengeance. Bring out a second Kokoshu. Come on, Frank. You can do it.